You've arrived at Unlearn with Louisa, the self-development podcast where we explore the beliefs, patterns, and behaviours we've all unconsciously picked up along the way. Whether it's in relationships or how we treat ourselves, here we focus on unlearning our past to create the future that we actually want. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another week at Unlearn with Louisa. I nearly said the unfiltered experience just then, but that is not the podcast name anymore. So welcome back for another week. And if you have clicked on the title, you've just made a really, really big decision, and that is to leave your romantic relationship or a friendship or whatever it is you're navigating. Maybe you've split up with a family member and someone sent you this episode to help you get through the grief. But whatever you're going through, making the decision to leave your partner or leave a loved one, I just want to congratulate you to start with. Choosing yourself, even when you still have feelings for someone, even when you still have doubt, choosing self-respect and having hope that for whatever reason, something wasn't working and you think you deserve more, whatever was happening in your current relationship wasn't sustainable for whatever reason, or you have seeds of doubt that they're not your right person and maybe they're an amazing person and you feel so guilty for doing it, but there's just this gut feeling inside that's telling you to go. I just want to validate that that is enough. That is enough of a reason to choose yourself and to leave. Life is short. We don't know how much time we've got on this planet. If you aren't 100% about something, congratulations for making that decision and for choosing yourself. We shouldn't be afraid of being single. We shouldn't be afraid of being alone in this world because we aren't alone. We are all connected to each other. We are connected to the universe. There's so much resource now, to help ourselves grow, to help us flourish as solo people. We don't need a relationship. Women are able to have careers. We're able to earn our own money, and we don't have to settle anymore. Like, we have the most amount of resources and privilege. It's not even really privilege. It's sort of like bare minimum, but you know what I mean. We have the most amount of freedom as women and opportunity than we've ever had. And obviously there's a long way to go, but don't waste it with somebody that you're not sure about, because there will be somebody around the corner that you feel 100% about. And I honestly believe, there's that saying, someone comes into your life for either a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And sometimes our friends are our soulmates. They're our soulmates in the sense that they're with us for that lifetime. And when it comes to romantic relationships, and I've said this before on the podcast so many times, romantic relationships are our biggest teacher. Nothing will make you grow and learn about yourself more, if you want to, that is, if you're open for the journey, if you're open to learn, if you're open to be aware about your behavior and why you do the things that you do and your feelings and whatever. Some people get into relationships and that stuff comes up and they don't want a bar of it and they want to stay unconscious, and that doesn't always work for the partner. Romantic relationships are our biggest vehicle to understanding ourselves, to learning and to growing. And it is so normal to meet someone, whether it's a committed relationship that you think they're going to be your forever person, or whether it's a short-term situationship, whatever it is. People come into our lives for a reason. They're there to teach us something. They're there to teach us something about ourselves. They're there to highlight something that we haven't healed in ourselves, that we're attracting in somebody else, that we want to, heal, so we don't have that repeat the same cycle again in the next person. And that is a gift. That knowledge and that learning is a massive gift. But it doesn't always feel like it, because our emotions and our childhood are sort of wrapped up in the pain of losing that relationship or the pain of it not working. But even if your relationship hasn't worked out, no matter what age you are, no matter what storyline you're attaching to it, whether it's a failure or whatever you're saying to yourself, you have gained something from this. Even if it is a narcissistic trauma bond and it was so traumatic and you've had the courage to leave, I know it doesn't feel like it, but you have gained self-respect by leaving. You have gained self-love by leaving. One of the hardest things, the thing is, when we attract a partner that isn't good for us long-term or that might damage us, it's highlighting something in us that is unhealed. And so even though the relationship may have been traumatic, which if that is the case, like this is an extreme example, and I'm not talking about abusive situations, but if that is your situation where you feel like your relationship was really toxic and unhealthy and you're like, I don't even know, this is going to take me years to process, and I don't even want to look at a man again or look at a woman again or a relationship, you will have gained something. It might take a while to figure out what that is, but if you're listening to this podcast, if you're open to learning about yourself, if you're desperate enough right now that the feelings are so intense that you want to learn and grow, like that is the gift. So congratulations. My experience with ending relationships, I usually overstay my welcome in the relationship. So I have so much evidence that the relationship doesn't work. By the time I've left the relationship, I have years of evidence of me trying different things to make the relationship work for me. And, by the time I leave, it's like, well, I've done everything. That can be a blessing and a curse, because the blessing is when I leave, the grieving period for me hasn't always been very long, which has been great. To my surprise, I have an anxious attachment, and people might relate to this. You hold on to a romantic relationship so strongly, and then finally when you let go and surrender and you let it go, you're so worried about what's coming. Like you're so worried about the pain that's ahead, about letting go of that relationship. And then when you finally do, you're like, I'm okay. Like it hurts, but I'm all right, So that's been my experience. The curse of that though is that I lose time. I lose time in my life to somebody that isn't necessarily worthy of that time. But what I gain is myself. What I want to tell you, if you have just made the decision to leave a romantic relationship and you're on the fence, you've got doubt, you've just done it, you feel scared. When you leave a romantic relationship, let me reassure you that no matter what, you are going to have doubt. You have to leave with doubt. You are never going to be 100%. And if you are, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. But there's always going to be time periods when you make a decision, when you make a big decision, where you go, fuck, did I make the right decision? Even if you leave a job, if you travel overseas and you spend lots of money, like there's always going to be a voice of doubt. And that doesn't mean you're making the wrong decision. It's just our inner critic. When you're the person making the decision to leave, self-compassion is the key ingredient into making this process a lot easier for you. There's been studies done on how self-compassion through breaking up with someone makes the breakup a whole lot easier than if you're to shame and blame yourself and go and really divulge into guilt. Now, if you already have an over responsibility or a codependency or this feeling or sense of responsibility for other people's feelings and emotions, breaking up with someone, first of all, congratulations for making the decision. And second of all, I just want to tell you, I want to be the person to tell you right now, how they feel is not your responsibility. It is the most loving thing you can do for somebody if you don't want to be with them, to tell them the truth. It is not loving for you to stay in a relationship that you're not sure about. And I think that's a trap sometimes people can get in. It's like, oh my God, like I shouldn't have done this. I've broken his heart. I've hurt him. Like I'm a terrible person. What's the alternative? Staying in a relationship you don't want to be in and letting them live a lie for years and years and years? Absolutely not. So what you've done is the most loving thing you can do for that person, even if it doesn't feel like it. When you've just come out, like if you've just made the decision and you live with your partner or you've got quite an intertwined life, the best tip I can give you is to get away from your environment. Even if it's just for a weekend, or if you have the luxury, book a girls' trip for a week. The best thing I did as soon as my ex-partner and I split up was I got out of Melbourne. I got out of my home. I went away with a girlfriend of mine. And obviously I have that luxury to do that because I work for myself, and not everyone has that. But there's always a possibility of going and staying at someone's house or going away for the weekend. Try and change your environment. Changing your environment gives your body and mind a way to completely reset. You're not being triggered. You're not being reminded. You're not being activated in your environment, because our environment holds so much weight to our emotions. So if you're living in a home or even in an apartment where they used to come over, you're going to be constantly activated and reminded of that relationship. If you've just made this decision, you need to go and have some space to yourself and a safe person. Get connected always. The same rule applies whether you've been broken up with or you've broken up with them. Get connected to the people you love. This is an opportunity for you to get social and to connect with people and to be held. And I feel lucky because I'm extroverted, so I'm just like too bad. Like I'm calling you and we're hanging out and I'm putting myself on you, and beautiful friendships have blossomed from that. But I know there's people out there that feel like a burden, or they have this belief system that if they were to do that, they'd be a burden. Fuck that mentality right now. I'm telling you right now, fuck that mentality off. This is your time to lean on people that love you. Ask for your needs to be met. The thing is, sometimes when we're struggling and we're in a dark place, we have this expectation that also keeps us quite isolated, that people should reach out to us and should make the effort to take care of us and go above and beyond. But that is not fair. Like, we have to take responsibility for how we're feeling and responsibility for our needs. And the responsibility is on you to reach out to people to say, hey, I need support, I need connection, I'm going through a breakup, and watch people meet you halfway. Watch people come. Once you reach out and once you communicate what you need during this period of time, I promise you the universe will deliver. Get into a new environment, go and have some fun, refresh your mindset, refresh your soul. You will come back into your space to deal with the breakup in a completely fresh mentality. Now, any contact you have with your partner, this is really important. Now, obviously, the no contact rule, I believe, is the biggest key to healing from any breakup. Although it feels like something you don't want, it is going to completely change the game. Do not look at their social media. If you have to block them once you've figured out logistics, if you live together, block them. It is for your own self-respect and sanity. The more you look at what they're doing and find out what they're doing, you're going to be re-triggered straight back to the start. It sets you back every time. Let me tell you, it's going to be painful. Either one, it's going to be painful either way. You can either do it quickly or you can stretch it out and be in pain for a lot longer. No contact rule is like ripping the Band-Aid off. It's painful, it's sharp at the beginning, but if you want to get over this breakup as quickly as possible, the no contact rule is integral. Speaking of the no contact rule, because you're the one that made the decision, I'm going to call you guys out here. It is selfish to reach back out to your ex-partner to gain validation or to gain some sort of pain relief from the breakup. If you have been the one to make that decision to reach back out to them and to check in on them and to, see how they're going, although you might be telling yourself it's for them, it's not. It's for you. They have people, they're connected, they've got and if they don't, that's on them. It is their responsibility to look after themselves. It is not your responsibility anymore. And it's actually selfish and unfair for you to keep going back and triggering them while you're the one that said, I don't want to be with you. Obviously, this is all well and good once you have figured out a plan moving forward. So if you don't live together, that's very straightforward. It's very simple, part ways, no contact. If you do live together, limit your conversation to just about once you've had your breakup and your closure and the conversation and you feel like you've said everything you've needed to say to them. If they need to talk to you, absolutely, by all means. But if it's getting to a point where you're just going around the same circle again and again and again, pop a boundary in about that conversation and say that I've said everything I can say, like this is it. I think it's important not to just break up with someone and cut them off. Let them have a bit of a process and come to terms with something, because the reality is you've had X amount of time to come to this decision. They're only finding out about their new reality today. So obviously be human and loving about it. However, when it comes to dealing with next steps, if you have a business together or if you have a house together or if you have kids or whatever it is, but what you want to do is have a plan. And I've done this wrong, right? Like I did this, definitely have done this wrong, and I've done this right. And if you're going to have to negotiate housing or furniture or logistics or split things up, before you have that conversation, go in with a plan of what you would like, what your best case scenario is, what you believe is fair, and then have that conversation. If you don't go in with a plan, things can get messy. This is where things can get really heightened, and it can cause you harm, it can cause them harm. So my biggest pointer with that one is if you have to split things up, go in with a plan, talk to your people, talk to your family. What would I like out of this conversation? What furniture do I want? Do I want to stay in the house? La, la, la. And figure out what you think is a healthy compromise and go from there. If you go into that conversation cold, your emotions about the breakup are going to cloud your input in the conversation. So, you might get defensive or there might be spitefulness. It's harder to compromise. If you can come up with that without being activated by that person first, that is going to put you in good stead. My nose, guys, I don't know what, I think it's the makeup. It just makes my nose water every single time I record. And then the lights are on me and I'm like, can you guys just see this glistening snot coming out of my nose? It's just really sexy. Anyway, now when you choose yourself, if this relationship hasn't worked out for you, choosing yourself and the relationship you have with yourself is going to be a delayed onset of dopamine and oxytocin. It's going to be a delayed reward, okay? It's going to feel like shit, all right? Right now, it's going to feel like fucking shit, but I promise you, in a few months' time, you're going to look back at yourself and you're going to be so proud of yourself. And the relationship that you have with yourself as a result is going to be unreal. And that is because nothing grows your relationship with yourself more. Nothing improves your self-respect and your self-esteem and your values and your self-confidence like respecting and putting your foot down on what you deserve. Stick to it. Back yourself. Stick to your decision, because I know it doesn't feel good right now. I know you might feel guilt. I know you might feel shame. I know you might feel sadness, or maybe you don't. Maybe you feel anger for allowing them to be in your life longer than you wanted them to be, or whatever it is. This is the pathway to a stronger bond with yourself. And when you have a stronger bond with yourself, the next partner will be at that standard. They will treat you as you treat yourself, as you allow them to be treated. And what you are saying right now is, regardless of how you feel about someone, regardless of love, regardless of whatever it is, you are backing yourself and you are choosing a life that you deserve. Love isn't enough for a long-term relationship. Having the courage to leave when you still love someone is so powerful. Love isn't enough for a sustainable long-term relationship, especially if you want to be with someone for a lifetime. So much more comes into a successful relationship. So if you're choosing to leave and you still have love for them, I see you. Good on you for going and backing your new non-negotiables. Write a list on what your ideal partner would be with all this new information. Design your perfect partner. And every time you think about your previous relationship and you start glorifying the past relationship and you start going back on your decision, remind yourself of that ideal. Another thing to do is write a list of why you left. Because our brains can trick us and that voice of self-doubt can get really loud, write a list of every moment you felt like you were sacrificing yourself by being in the relationship. Get really clear on the reality of the relationship. You don't want to stay in the negative, but you want to understand the reality of your relationship. And when you're going through a breakup, our reality is completely skew. It's warped. Any given day is warped. So you want to try and write and do this exercise so you can stay grounded to what the reality is and your why. You want to understand your why and keep that close to your heart. On the days you have doubt, remember your why. Don't reach back out to them. Talk to a friend, talk to a close family member, talk to a safe person, talk to a coach, talk to a therapist. Talking to them is only going to A, traumatize them, and B, traumatize you and put you backwards. Another huge thing with leaving a partner is sometimes what we can do, and especially if you have an anxious attachment, is we get attached to the fantasy of the version that we wanted them to be. And leaving the relationship, you're actually not grieving them, but you're grieving the fantasy that you created about who you thought they were going to be for you. and their potential. This is a trap because we're actually setting people up to fail. This is a pattern in relationships where we're setting people up to fail because we're creating and we're pedestaling someone. We're creating an idea about someone that isn't even real. And when they don't meet that, we're left with this relationship and this partner that is not up to our standard and is not delivering on our fantasy. And it's an important key element to really think about for your next relationship. Date somebody on who they are today. If they didn't change ever, would I be happy here? And if the answer is no, you've got your answer about whether you should be in that relationship or not. Dating for potential, I understand for some people it works, like when you get with someone really young and you develop and grow together and you create a life together. I back that in. That's 100%. It 100% works sometimes. But when you're in your late 20s or you're older and you're starting a new relationship, date on evidence, not on potential. All right, now this is how you grieve with self-compassion. So first things first, I want you to drop the storyline that you're the bad guy. There is absolutely no bad guy in a situation where someone has authentically made a decision that's right for them. You are not the bad guy. No one is the bad guy. There's no wrong or right. There's just different options in life and there's different needs and truths for different people. You have done something that is right by you. There is no right or wrong to that. Congratulations. I want you to let yourself grieve without punishing yourself. I give you permission to feel sad, to miss them, to miss the relationship. You are allowed to feel all of those things, but also be empowered about your decision to go. Remind yourself that the relationship is not the fantasy that you created in your head or just the good times. Remind yourself of the reality of the relationship. Remind yourself of your why. Healing from the relationship, one of the best things to do through a breakup is physical movement. So you want to target your nervous system. Your nervous system is going to be activated, and sometimes our mind is like, yep, I've done the right thing, but I just feel like shit in my body. Like there's anxiety in my body, there's sadness in my body. You want to move those emotions through. Lean into your feelings, feel them when they come up, lean into them, feel them wholly, set a timer, intensely feel them. Once it gets too much, healthily distract. If you need to distract through doom scrolling in the first week, do what you got to do. Or you can distract in a healthy way, reach out to someone, whatever. But you don't want to get stuck wallowing in your feelings. Feel your feelings, lean into them, but also productively do something to move through it, because we don't want to cement the neural pathways of sadness in our brain. We want to feel, be authentic, honor ourselves, but also take responsibility to make ourselves happy, because that will be the most empowering thing as we move forward. So a great way to do that is to process feelings through exercise. I was doing group exercise every day. I would not be pushing myself to the levels that I was pushing myself if it wasn't for those classes. I would get into that class and I was so exerted, I couldn't fucking think about anything else other than like, when is this finishing? And the feeling I had afterwards was like, oh, I did it. Group exercise when you're going through a breakup, top tier. I'm not really a cardio girly, but I gotta say, cardio during a breakup, it just hits different. I don't know what to tell you. It's fucking hard, but it's so good on the other side. And also, it also might bring feelings up. Like if you're upset, like sometimes you can be in a good place and then after the class you're in tears, but it's good. Things are moving through your body. Breath work is also amazing, of course. And, you know, any type of EFT tapping, there's heaps of stuff on YouTube. You guys know the drill. I obviously love journaling, meditation, all of the tools and tricks. Write everything out. Instead of turning to your partner, your ex-partner, write everything on a piece of paper. Write a letter to yourself. Write a letter to your inner child. Write every night your thoughts and feelings about everything that's going on and get it out of your head. Get it out of your head. Processing a breakup is such a gift because it just like gives you this newfound motivation to develop yourself and grow because of the intensity of the pain. There are so many resources out there. I'm so proud of you for leaving. If you would like to work with me, I have 2 offerings. a month product where we work together for 2 deep dive calls, and then we have unlimited messaging and voice noting throughout that month just to kickstart your breakup. I also have a 3-month full transformation program which will take you through from pain to healed. Those offerings are there. Reach out to me on Instagram or my email, coaching@unlearnwithlouisa.com, if that's something you're interested in. If not, there will be more episodes coming. I will be with you in spirit. You've got this. I'm proud of you. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the episode, and congratulations for choosing to create a future that's actually yours. If you got something out of this episode, please share it with someone who needs to hear it, and keep up to date with me by following wherever you listen to this episode. If you haven't already, I'd love it if you could also leave a review. If you want more from me, you can find me on any platform at Unlearn with Louisa, or head over to my website unlearnwithlouisa.com to work with me as a coach. And I will see you at the next episode.